You know, in the world that we are dominated in today with screens and AI, I still reach for my pen and paper. Even though it's a nostalgic or antiquated way of taking notes, I still feel like there's some sort of advantage to it. Today we're going to dive into seeing if there's an actual benefit to it, or are modern note-taking methods actually superior. In our modern society today, AI and tech is just being pushed in our faces. A lot of it is not even stuff that we really need or want, but it's not going to get any better anytime soon. If anything, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. And as someone who works in tech, I see it on a daily basis as how AI is being implemented into things where people used to be. It's taking the places of people, of the human interaction, and a lot of it isn't good. Majority of it isn't good. Going back to the old ways of things and using pen and paper has, for me personally, become one of my favorite things to do. And yes, I kind of dive deep into the lore of it all, or per se, diving deep into the details and getting into the weeds of fountain pens, ink, pen, nibs, paper, all of that. But I think that it helps in my case, especially as someone who works in tech a lot or works in tech on a daily basis, and I see the detrimental effects of using a computer on a regular basis. So for me, it's more about balance. And with that balance, it comes more of a tactile feel and more of a sense of permanence. Because yes, you can lose your notebook and your pen, and your notebook can get wet and your ink goes away. Granted, we have waterproof ink and things like that, but seeing as how like a lot of times people lose files in their computer and it completely destroys their life. One of the things about, for me, when it comes to pen and paper is simply like the more permanence of it. It's more about like it's on the page, because when things are digital and like you have local files, yes, they're permanent, but they're kind of semi-permanent in a way of like it can be lost. And if I put all of my things on this right here, if this goes away, then it's like I have nothing. Granted, if my house burns down, my notebooks, they're gone as well. But for me, that's just the crux of it all. It's like nothing is perfect, but it's more of a give and take, and it's more about like what I'm willing to give or what I'm willing to take, in a sense. When writing, you think that paper is outdated, and in society now, there's been a big turn, or I wouldn't say big, but if you're in that space, it feels big, of going back to journaling, whether that be bullet journaling, scrapbooking, just everyday journaling, and writing things down and using pen and paper. And in a lot of instances, these things do help people, and in some instances, it's not for everybody. I will say it's better to get away from tech and to take a break from it. And in that balance that I was speaking of in the past chapter, for me, I write everything down while I'm on site, and then I come home and I transfer it to digital. I see a lot of doctors using AI note-taking apps, and they're using it so that they don't have to do anything on paper at all. And I guess it works for efficiency on their part. And so there is a balance to be struck. But I think that with AI companies and with tech and in our modernization of our world, that balance is leaning more towards everything being digital, and it feels more like the old saying of you'll own nothing and be happy. I personally don't subscribe to that, so I like to use my fountain pens, my ink, my paper. And yes, it may be an expensive way to take notes, but it's not the only way to take notes. And with that, I think that a lot of it helps me cognitively, and it helps that I can write things down, and it helps to think clearly. For example, me and my wife, we don't do digital notes for our grocery list. We prefer to write everything down and can go to the store and literally check it off the list one by one. That's just how we do things, and it helps with it helps with keeping up with everything. And it's just one of those things where like we can sit down and do it together. I've gotten my kids into the habit of writing down things on their homework using their scratch paper, and I've seen a personal and visual change in how my daughter especially does math problems with typing them on the computer versus writing it down. And maybe it's just a thing for us where it helps us out better, but I think like the visualization and like the actual act of writing helps keep your brain active when it comes to doing anything. In conclusion, paper, in my opinion, will always be king. Yes, there's the environmental impact of cutting down trees and making the pulp and the making of the paper, but I think that making 1,000,000 notebooks hurts the environment less than making 10 data centers. As we all know, these data centers are popping up in our neighborhoods. Again, they're creating noise pollution, they're polluting the water, they're polluting the ground, they're loud, and it's kind of hypocritical for me to talk about it because you're watching this from a data center, but at the same time, it's about balance. So for me, paper is still king. And if you feel that way, let me know in the comments. If you don't feel that way, let me know in the comments as well. We can have a discussion. I really appreciate everybody who tuned into this video. I'm trying this new format to where I'm sitting down in front of the camera and just trying to have more of conversational pieces and more long form content. So I'd appreciate if you all would subscribe to the channel, like the video. It definitely helps out a lot. And we'll see you guys in the next one.